Secret Wars. Everything in the Marvel Universe was falling apart, and the end began with something no hero could stop. Multiple realities across the multiverse were colliding and destroying each other in what the comics called incursions. Every time two universes touched, both would collapse unless one was destroyed first. That forced the Illuminati, a secret council of the smartest and most powerful minds like Reed Richards, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange, to make impossible choices. They built doomsday devices to destroy entire Earths, killing billions just to save their own world. And as more worlds vanished, panic spread through every corner of the Marvel Universe. The final incursion came down to Earth 61C, the main universe, and Earth 1610, the ultimate universe. Both sides fought to survive, and neither won. Everything ended in fire, and the multiverse died. But from the ashes, one god rose. Doctor Doom, having stolen the power of the Beyonders, recreated reality in his own image. He built Battleworld, a patchwork planet made from fragments of destroyed universes. He ruled it as a god king, reshaping lives, rewriting memories, and enforcing order through sheer power and fear. Even his greatest rivals were broken or made to serve. In Doom's utopia, Stephen Strange became his sheriff and Sue Storm became his queen. And Reed Richards was gone, or so everyone thought. The chaos built slowly, and eventually, the truth began to crack through the surface. The surviving heroes, including Reed, Black Panther, and Spider-Man, launched a last stand to overthrow Doom. In the final battle, it was not strength that defeated Doom, but something simpler. Reed convinced him that he could never truly be the better man. And with Molecule Man's help, Reed took the godlike power and used it not to rule, but to rebuild the multiverse. Secret Wars ended with the Marvel Universe reborn, but the scars run deep. Entire worlds had vanished, memories were twisted, and trust in the people who made the hard choices would never fully return. But even that madness was just the beginning, because long before multiverses collided, Earth was already caught in a war that spanned galaxies. CRE Scroll War. This war began in the stars, but it didn't stay there for long. The Kree and the Skrulls had been locked in a brutal war for thousands of years, long before Earth was ever caught in the crossfire. The Kree, a militaristic empire obsessed with conquest and genetic perfection, clashed endlessly with the Skrulls, a shape-shifting race that survived by infiltration and manipulation. Neither side cared how many planets were burned along the way, and Earth was just one more casualty waiting to happen. Things escalated when the Kree began experimenting on primitive humans, creating the Inhumans in a twisted attempt to weaponize Earth. Meanwhile, the Skrulls embedded themselves across societies, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. It wasn't long before both empires realized Earth might tip the balance of power, and that made it a target. Earth's heroes, like the Avengers and the original Captain Marvel, were suddenly dragged into an intergalactic nightmare. But in a twist of events, Rick Jones, an ordinary human sidekick, unexpectedly became the center of it all. When the Kree Supreme Intelligence awakened his latent potential with the Destiny Force, Rick became a psychic bomb capable of turning thoughts into reality. With this power, entire fleets were vaporized in moments and galaxies trembled. The fighting became so intense that reality itself began to bend at the seams. That's when everything changed. The Avengers found themselves switching sides, questioning allies, and racing through space just to keep up. Eventually, Rick's unleashed power forced both empires to back down since the Kree were shaken and the Skrulls were scattered. And Earth, though barely standing, was left to process what just happened. Yet the end didn't come with peace. It came with silence, a quiet pause in a war that never really stopped. Following the chaos, trust in alien races dropped to zero, and the fear of infiltration stuck with Earth's heroes for decades. But the Kree and Skrulls weren't the last cosmic force to threaten everything. Because the next war wasn't about galaxies. It was about the Infinity Stones, a mad titan, and a snap that would shatter half of all life. Infinity War. The Infinity War didn't start with an army or a declaration. It started with a reflection. Not a metaphorical one, but a twisted, literal doppelganger known as the Magus. He was the dark half of Adam Warlock, born from a corrupted timeline, and he wasn't interested in ruling the universe. He wanted to remake it in his own warped image. The Magus started by stealing 5 of the 6 Infinity Gems, gathering cosmic cubes and building a twisted army made of evil duplicates of Marvel's greatest heroes. Spider-Man, Iron Man, Wolverine, even the Hulk, each had a cruel, distorted version under Magus's control. While Earth's heroes scrambled to understand why they were fighting themselves, the real enemy was growing stronger in the shadows. Adam Warlock, freshly returned from the Soul World, realized he had no choice but to stop the Magus. He joined forces with Thanos, who had once wielded the full power of the Infinity Gauntlet and now saw the Magus as a threat to his own plans. It was a bizarre alliance, one of pure logic, one of pure destruction. Together, they faced off against Magus, who had already tricked Galactus and Eternity and had plans to trap the very concept of reality itself. The war was brutal, but cleverness, not brute force, won the day. Adam tricked the Magus into trying to wield a fake Infinity Gauntlet, while Thanos and others reclaimed the real gems. But victory came at a cost. Adam Warlock was judged by the cosmic entities and forced to relinquish the gauntlet, splitting the gems among chosen guardians known as the Infinity Watch. The war wasn't just about power, it was about balance, identity, and how the most dangerous threat isn't always an outsider. It's the version of yourself you try to ignore. And just when peace seemed possible, another war rose from within. Because when you ask heroes to pick sides over government control, the next battle doesn't start in space. It starts at home. Civil War. This war among heroes didn't begin with a villain or a cosmic threat. Rather, it started with a camera crew and a heartbreaking tragedy. The New Warriors were chasing a group of minor villains for a reality show when one of them, Nitro, exploded near a school in Stamford, Connecticut. The blast killed over 600 people, including dozens of children. That one moment shattered public trust and forced the government to act. The Superhuman Registration Act was introduced, demanding that all heroes reveal their identities and register as government agents. It wasn't just a policy, it was a line in the sand. Iron Man believed it was necessary, a way to protect people and keep heroes accountable. He saw it as a second chance after past mistakes. But Captain America saw it as an attack on freedom, and more dangerously, a way for the government to weaponize heroes. The lines were drawn fast, friends became enemies. Spider-Man unmasked himself on live television, choosing to support Tony Stark. But when he realized what registration meant for people like him and how far Stark was willing to go, including creating a cyborg clone of Thor, Peter switched sides. The war tore through cities and friendships. Cloak and Dagger fled. The Young Avengers went underground. The Fantastic Four split in two. Even villains were recruited into government strike teams. Tony had the law, the resources, and the military. Steve had the heart, the people, and the belief that freedom mattered more than control. It all ended in a brutal, bloody fight in the streets. But when Cap looked around and saw the damage the civilians caught in the chaos, and the fear in their eyes, he dropped his shield. He didn't surrender to Tony. He surrendered to the people, because the war had gone too far. Though the fighting stopped, the scars never fully healed. The heroes were broken, and the trust between them was gone. And as the dust settled on Earth, anger was brewing in the stars. Because a Hulk exiled to another world was about to return home, and he wasn't coming back alone. World War Hulk. World War Hulk was a declaration of vengeance from the strongest being on Earth, a response to betrayal that ran deeper than any supervillain's plot. But before it began, Hulk got tricked. The Illuminati, a secret group of Earth's most powerful minds including Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Reed Richards, decided Hulk was too dangerous to stay on Earth, so they launched him into space under the guise of helping him find peace. But instead of landing on a peaceful planet, Hulk crash-landed on Sakaar, a brutal world ruled by violence. There, he was enslaved, forced to fight in gladiator pits and made to suffer. But Hulk didn't stay down. He rose through the ranks, led a rebellion, and even found love. He became a king. For the first time, Hulk had peace. Then, his ship exploded. It killed his wife, his unborn child, and his people. Hulk believed the Illuminati were behind the explosion. That was all he needed. He returned to Earth not as a hero or a monster, but as a warlord. He brought with him the Warbound, his closest warriors from Sakaar. Together, they landed in Manhattan and issued a warning to the world. Hulk demanded the heroes responsible be handed over, or the city would burn. He fought the Avengers. He crushed the X-Men. He outmaneuvered the Fantastic Four. Even Doctor Strange's magic couldn't stop him. Hulk created a gladiator arena in Madison Square Garden and made Earth's greatest heroes fight each other as punishment. But as the world watched in fear, the truth came out. It wasn't the Illuminati who destroyed the ship. It was a malfunction caused by one of Hulk's own followers. When Hulk realized this, his rage turned inward. He surrendered, broken not by defeat, but by the truth. In the aftermath, Bruce Banner was imprisoned deep underground. The world barely recovered from the chaos. But before peace could return, the cosmic balance began to shift again. Because in the far reaches of space, a war of kings was brewing, and the universe was about to explode. War of Kings. The War of Kings was a full-scale cosmic disaster waiting to happen. It was set in motion when Black Bolt, king of the Inhumans, took over the Kree Empire. The Inhumans had been genetically tied to the Kree for generations, but now they were in control. Black Bolt's rule brought stability to the Kree, but not everyone was happy about it, especially not Vulcan, the mad emperor of the Shi'ar Empire. Vulcan, the long-lost brother of Cyclops and Havoc, had taken over the Shi'ar throne by force and ruled it with pure aggression. He saw Black Bolt as a threat to his expansion and pride. He wanted war, and he got it. The conflict exploded across the universe like wildfire. The Inhumans used ancient Kree war technology and their powerful abilities to strike hard and fast. The Shi'ar answered with their fleets, their ruthless Imperial Guard, and Vulcan's rage. Both sides believed they were in the right, and neither was willing to back down. Meanwhile, the Guardians of the Galaxy warned that this war could rip holes in the very fabric of space and time. But their warnings were ignored as Black Bolt and Vulcan prepared for one final, catastrophic battle. They faced off inside a powerful weapon called the T-Bomb, a device capable of massive destruction. When the T-Bomb detonated, it erased Black Bolt and Vulcan from existence. The blast also ripped open a tear in reality known as the Fault, a swirling nightmare of chaos and corruption. This tear didn't just threaten the universe, it invited something worse. The aftermath left both empires shaken and leaderless. The Kree were left to rebuild under unstable leadership, and the Shi'ar fell into political chaos. But the bigger problem wasn't politics, it was the Fault itself. A growing wound in space that would soon give birth to the deadliest threat yet. Because out of the darkness came the Chaos King, and his war was against life itself. Chaos War. This was the kind of event that made gods tremble, and death itself ran for cover, and it was attributed to a being named Mikaboshi, or the Chaos King. He wasn't just a villain with power, he was the embodiment of nothingness, a god of oblivion born from Japanese mythology. And when he decided the universe had too much order, he began wiping out everything in his path. At first, nobody really noticed the threat. The Chaos King crept through the cracks of reality, destroying the realms of the dead one by one. Underworlds that belonged to Hades, Pluto, even the Egyptian afterlife were swallowed whole. Souls that had already died were ripped from their resting places, erasing their existence completely. There was no reincarnation, no escape, just pure deletion. The gods were the first to panic. Odin, Zeus, and the others quickly realized that their immortality wasn't going to save them. Even Galactus and Eternity started paying attention, which never meant anything good. It didn't take long before the Chaos King had control over death itself. With the underworlds gone, dead heroes and villains began spilling back into the living world. Some returned to help fight, others just added to the chaos. Hercules, upgraded to cosmic-level power, led the charge against Mikaboshi. He pulled together a bizarre team called the God Squad, made up of divine beings from across belief systems. Their goal was to stop the Chaos King from unmaking all of creation. The final battle was desperate and wild. The Chaos King grew stronger with each reality he consumed. But Hercules tricked him in the end, trapping him in a pocket universe filled with what the Chaos King hated most: absolutely nothing. With the threat sealed, life in the universe began to return to normal. But normal didn't last. Because just when the dust began to settle, the fabric of time and space cracked again, twisting everything into something darker and deadlier. And that led straight into the mind-bending nightmare of Infinity Wars. Infinity Wars. Infinity Wars took everything we thought we knew about the Marvel Universe and shattered it with a single blade. And as the name suggests, it all began with the return of the Infinity Stones, scattered across the cosmos and falling into the hands of new wielders. But before anyone could figure out how to use them properly, a shadow emerged from the chaos. Her name was Requiem, a mysterious armored figure who moved like death itself. And when she killed Thanos without hesitation, the entire universe realized something bigger was coming. Requiem revealed herself as none other than Gamora, but not the version everyone knew. This Gamora was broken, twisted by the torment she endured inside the Soul Stone. She had one goal: reclaim the missing piece of her soul that was still trapped inside the gem. And to do that, she needed all 6 Infinity Stones. She assembled them faster than any villain had before. Then she did something unthinkable. She folded the universe in half. With the power of all 6 stones, Gamora created Warp World. It was a merged dimension where every Marvel hero was fused with another. Iron Man became Soldier Supreme, a blend of Tony Stark and Doctor Strange. Wolverine and Emma Frost became Weapon Hex. The world was a surreal mashup of identities, history, and powers. In this twisted new reality, the heroes struggled to understand who they were, let alone how to stop Gamora. Meanwhile, Loki, ever the opportunist, dove into the madness to uncover the truth behind the stones and the cosmic library known as the God Quarry. Eventually, with help from the warped heroes and some heavy cosmic interference, the Infinity Stones were scattered again. Gamora lost control and the Warp World was sealed off in a pocket dimension, kept alive as its own strange universe. But the damage was done. Reality had been sliced, diced, and stitched into something unfamiliar. And even though the stones were gone again, their echoes remained, leaving everyone wondering what would happen the next time they returned. Because in the Marvel Universe, nothing powerful ever stays buried for long.